Hi there, this is the beginning of Operation Ball Joint. You've seen in the other video, if you bothered to watch it, that I penetrated the fuck out of the bolts for the past couple of days, and then last night I thought what I'll do is I'll come out and I'll loosen and then retighten all the wheel nuts so that they're all ready to go for today when I come to do the job. And let me spin you around a minute. I bet we all know where this is going, don't we? When I got out to look at them, I found that we've got some crappy quick save locking wheel nuts on the car, which were completely rusted solid. This one actually, here it is if it's not picking up. This one was the worst looking, but did actually come off, which was quite miraculous. So having done the other one, and filled with complacency, because this one actually didn't look as bad, I came round and started attacking this one, and you could see where that went. The stupid key thing slipped off it and mangled the holes a bit. Then I got the impact driver on, and that wouldn't budge it at all, and all that did was stretch the holes even more. This is completely knackered now, so I'm going to have to try and get this off. I was trying to think of ways to do it last night, and I posted on the Land Cruiser forum I go on, and somebody there helpfully pointed out that you can actually get specialist tools for removing these bloody things, which when you think of it makes sense, because this must happen all the time. People buy cars and don't get the key with it, or people lose the key, or they just knacker like these ones. So I looked up those tools, locking wheel nut removal tools, and they look remarkably like a set of Mangled bolt removal tools, which I already have. Now, the biggest one of these is this one, 19mm. And those wheel nuts are 21mm, so it shouldn't fit. However, the locking wheel nut's obviously going to be smaller diameter than the actual proper wheel nuts. So what I'm hoping is if I get that spinny collar thing ground off the locking wheel nut, I might be able to get one of those Irwin extractors on it and pull the bugger out. In my armoury, I have got a cheapo 40-something quid die grinder that I bought off Amazon the other week. Originally intended to use this with some grinding stones to get inaccessible rust places on the chassis. As it turns out, it's a hell of a lot bigger than I thought, so I'm still in two minds as to whether to keep it or not. So its fate may depend on how it performs today on this task. We have bendage. Yes, there we go. Get that wee twat off there. I was actually through it quite a bit, you just couldn't see because it was all mushed together. There we go. Right. Now, the moment of truth. Will my 19mm extractor fit on that? Ooh, you know, it might go on. Let's give it an old bash. A bit crooked, I think. There we go. 27mm for future reference. Now, I'll give it a go by hand first and see if it looks like it's even going to think about moving. I'll just twist off. Well, it didn't twist off. It didn't feel like it was going to move either. Let's try a bit of scaffold bar that I nicked out of my neighbour's junk pile while he's at work. This is where it twists off because I've got to get away from it so I can't hold it in place anymore. Oh, something creaked there. Did it turn? Or did it just creak? And try again. I think the ratchet's actually going to break because nothing else is turning. This is ridiculous. I've got a feeling this ratchet's just going to break. What brand is it? Draper. We might as well go for it anyway. I've got to come off or break. But I'm actually moving this a fair bit and nothing's actually moving. Look at this. The ratchet's going, isn't it? Look at that. That is ridiculous. So, yeah. Quality tool. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry, Draper, I apologise profusely. I really thought that wasn't turning at all, but it was. My God, it's a miracle. It's only a fucking miracle. That was very bizarre because as I was lifting that up, I just couldn't see the socket turning at all, but it must have been. Let's look at that. My God. Victory. A whole, well, not a whole afternoon, but you know, the best part of the daylight of the afternoon's work, and a pile of tools that would put a tool shop to shame just to get that piece of crap out. But it worked. Hello again. This is the day after the adventure with the wheel nut. I was hoping to get on with the lower ball joints today, but in an amazing break with tradition, it's actually raining round here. Not majorly heavy rain, but seeing as this is supposed to be a, wait a minute, fun project, and it's not my daily driver, I just thought, I don't have to work on it in the pissing rain. Brings back too many bad memories of when I used to work on my one and only daily driver car and it would start pissing with rain and I'd be trying to get some part back together again. While darkness was falling, rain was falling, tears were falling. So I don't have to do that anymore. This is a fun, remember that, fun project. So I'm only going to work on it when I feel like it and when it's not raining. The first of those is probably once or twice a week. The second of those is probably once or twice a year. So there may not be much action. But anyway, I just wanted to do a brief addendum to yesterday, which is when I filmed that locking wheel nut removal. I think we left it there where I had just taken it off and was apologising profusely to Draper for dissing their ratchet, which I thought was breaking at the time, but was actually performing sterling service and getting the wheel nut off with the aid of this, which was the let's show you the box. This isn't a plug or anything, by the way. It kind of is, but an informal one. This was a set of Irwin knackered nut extractors, as I call them. Not sure what their official title is, that I bought a couple of years ago. I think I've only used them once or twice. I'm trying to think what it was now. It was when I had a VW Transporter Synchro. It was something like trying to get some part of the turbo support off or something. Anyway, I needed those then. I've not used them since, and as you heard or saw yesterday, I was wondering whether the biggest one in this box, which is 19mm, would fit over what was left of the locking wheel nut after I took the collar off. And lucky enough, once I had ground off the collar, the 19mm fitted beautifully with a bit of a whack with a lump hammer, and got the offending wheel nut off. So I just, while I'm not doing anything else today, I just thought I'd show you this, if we can get the camera to focus on it. Come on, camera, do your stuff. Trying to look at me, and who can blame it? But you can see that is well chewed up. And if I get the Irwin socket, look at that, absolutely unmarked. So as I say, I'm not really into these tool plugs on YouTube, because I think most of the people either got them for free or were unofficially sponsored. Nobody would sponsor me with my one subscriber. All my tools are bought by myself, but I think credit where it's due. That was one of those things where you think, God, if this doesn't work, what the hell am I going to do? Because it was such a confined space, there wasn't room to get a proper grinder in to grind that locking wheel nut off. And even if I'd got in more with the die grinder and tried to just gradually pare it away that way, there was always the chance that I would ruin the lug nut, not the lug nut, the wheel stud, and then that would have been another kettle of fish opened of trying to put a new wheel stud on. So I think, I can't remember what I used it for last time, but it saved my bacon then, and it's just saved my bacon again. So not a sponsorship or anything of that ilk, but credit where it's due. Well done, Irwin, on those. I was really impressed. I was heaving so much on this yesterday, as you saw, that I thought my ratchet head was actually snapping, because it just felt that like I was wheeling on the end of a scaffold bar, and it felt like the thing was going to break. So when I eventually got this locking wheel nut out of this, which involved putting it in a vise and obviously turning it clockwise, I was just really impressed that there wasn't a single mark on it.